Grange, good afternoon, my brother. How are you?
What's going on, my sister, man? We are we're keeping it moving, right? This is still Women History Month, and we got some more
It's still
powerful
Women's
women
History
to be
Month.
on today, right? So
Absolutely,
I'm
absolutely.
excited. As you know, it's Friday, so that means we're at the end of the week, and I get to spend some time with you. I'm calling it Fire Fridays because last Friday was fire,
Was
and
fire.
yeah, I expect the same thing today, man.
Absolutely. Hey guys, if people are starting to get on, we're gonna see you guys. Hey, happy Friday, family. We see you guys. Let us know in the chat. Make sure you share. We're 30 seconds in. We're gonna make sure that we just get everybody all tuned in. Um, Man, we got such a great show today, and we're celebrating Women's History Month still. And there's women in the industry that we're not even hearing about, that we don't even know about, that are just making moves. They're driving the industry in with such grace and humility. And I'm just kind of just I'm just excited about being able to have the platform that lift people up and get and introduce them to other folks that may not know about them, because I know them, you know them, but not everyone that follows and knows about what they're doing and how they're doing it. So that's what we're talking about today.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, like one of the greatest things about being in the role that I'm in with M is I have met some of the most amazing people on this planet in this industry. People who are doing just some mind blowing things, and the talent and the value they bring to the industry
Yeah.
is so fire. So I'm glad we get to highlight them and introduce them to the world, if you will, on this show.
Well, you know what? Without further ado, let's get it popping here. Everybody that's coming in, make sure you share on your platforms. Hey, Mariella, happy Friday. So listen, guys, we have two young ladies who are guests today, and I'm going to bring them on board. We first have Miss Elizabeth Udell. Hey, Elizabeth.
Hey
And next,
y'all, how you
hey,
doing?
y'all. And next we
Welcome
have
to the show.
Naomi. Yeah, we have Naomi Granger. Hey, Naomi.
Hi.
How
Hi,
are you?
Naomi.
I'm good. How are you guys?
We are
Thank you so much
awesome.
for having me.
Absolutely. So Naomi, let's start with you first. Please introduce yourself. Tell everybody who you are, where you're located, and what you do in the industry.
Hi, yes. So my name is Naomi Granger. I am located in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I'm an accountant. So my background is accounting. I'm a CPA. I'm also an MBA, and I've been doing accounting for the last 15 years. And about 3 years ago, I found a niche where there was a lot of accounting services that are needed in the cannabis industry. And so I decided to pursue the cannabis industry. I started learning a lot, and I got to a point where I was training other accountants on some of the ins and outs and some of the regulation that's required to properly service cannabis companies. So now it is my mission, because right now cannabis doesn't have industry guides, industry standards. Us accountants, we don't really know where to go to get a final answer for certain things. So now
Wow.
I've launched the National Association of Cannabis Accounting and Tax Professionals. I'm partnering with the IRS. I'm partnering with these regulatory bodies, and we are going to put that regulation in place. And it's not going to be, my goal is it's not going to be somebody just hands it down to us. We're having a two-way conversation with this IRS while they are drafting the guidance. And so that's my mission, working with them, working with the AICPA, making sure that the regulation fits both the business owner and it's something that works for our economy.
Ooh, Naomi, I'm over here jumping. I'm excited because listen, you don't understand. Okay, so everybody's coming in.
That's
Hey,
dope.
family. You guys have just heard from Naomi Granger. And the reason why I'm excited, because I remember when I first met Naomi, and I just love a woman that knows her expertise. She knows what she's good at, and she has vision. And to have the vision to start or partner with or what have you, an association that creates a foundation and a place where you can get your questions answered, to be able to set standards, and you're going to be able to weigh in on federal regulation and how that looks. I mean,
You know what's really beautiful? You know what's really beautiful about it too, Roz, is that
yeah.
I love the fact that it is proactionary versus reactionary.
Oh my gosh.
She's like, let's not wait until they tell us what they want us to know. And we know that a lot of them have no clue about this plant, and they have no clue about the inner workings of this industry. So rather than wait on them to dictate, let's be proactive and go to them and have a conversation so that they understand and see things from our vantage point as well.
Yes.
And we can create really good legislation that way. So to me, that is, like you said, the vision that's behind that is just, that's fierce.
Yeah, it's fierce.
Thank you.
Man,
Thank
listen.
you.
Hey, we don't play around over here. Next, our guest that we have is Miss Elizabeth Udell. And I'm just, before she introduces herself, Elizabeth, just tell you that I have been watching this young lady on the Clubhouse platform, and the breadth and knowledge that she has, and understanding, and also empathy and wisdom to share about, ways of being able to get your brand out there. It really inspired me. And I've been, Elizabeth, we've been trying to do this for like 4 weeks, almost a month now.
Yeah.
So, right. And so I'm just super, super happy to have her. Elizabeth, introduce yourself to everyone. Tell them who you are, where you're located, and how you got into the industry.
Thank you so much, Roz.
You're welcome.
You've definitely become a wonderful friend from Clubhouse. But yeah, hi everyone. I'm Elizabeth. I'm in California, LA specifically. I've been out here for 7 years, and I've been doing cannabis marketing for about 6. I started on the medical side, because I come from music. So I love all things marketing, and I would just go to dispensaries and I'd be like, I'll do your marketing for $100 a week, like just $100 a week. Like, I just want to do something, but this was medical. It was the Wild West. So they were like, I don't know what marketing is. Like, our dispensary doesn't need marketing. So I would go to little brands and kind of help. And then once everything shifted in 2018 to adult use, I joined MedMen because they were marketing, they were doing billboards, they were doing things that I couldn't have been able to do before. And so I started their online presence, started all the content. And then from there, I've just gone to so many different brands to bring this knowledge, to help, because, just to your point, Naomi, we're all, we all kind of have to help each other out, once you learn something and you get really good at it, then and it's not so much your duty, but it's kind of, the right thing to do to take this knowledge and help other people. Like, there's now, with so many states going on board, we're reinventing the wheel every single day. And it's always going to be people who need to learn. There's always going to be marketing. There's always going to be accounting. There's always going to be legal. So I just love what you're doing. And now I'm with Cannabis. So, we work more on the social equity side, which I am all for. I work with a brand farmer in the Felon. So being able to work with them directly and just, kind of just go back into a different side of cannabis that I haven't done before. Yeah. It's been such a wild ride. I say MedMen was a boot camp because I learned so much. Because
that's what I was going to ask you. So give you a minute.
Yeah.
You take your breath.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you a question. Yeah, because so you guys, we know, if those don't know, there has been this up and down story of MedMen. And so without giving their proprietary information or saying things that you can't share, but would love to understand those MedMen days and when you first came on board, what was the strategy? I mean, because they did, and I will say this, if they didn't do, they might have messed up on some things, but what we saw was you had a brand that people knew about. And if you didn't know about it, you was trying to get to know about it because you saw it everywhere. And I'm not just talking about storefront. Can you share a little bit about why it was like a boot camp to you, and what were you walking into when you were there and things that you did?
Absolutely. So I started at the beginning of March 2018. So this was, we went adult use January. And I, started the online presence, was working with social media, and I was so fresh in it. I'm like, let's just do everything. And that's what MedMen was doing at the time, everything. So it was a boot camp because it was my first multi-state operator, which is very difficult, so we were in 7 states, but everything was in California. So, I'm in California making emails for Nevada, Illinois, Florida, New York, we're doing everything at scale. But I think it's a wonderful example of taking things slow. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
MedMen was big. They rode that high in 1 year. In 1 year, we did so much where I feel like a lot of brands could easily fall into. You know, you're riding high, you have the press, like you want to be the first, but it's like, slow down. This is a
Yeah.
marathon, not a
Yeah.
sprint. They
Yes.
spent so much money in licenses. You know, multi-state operators are amazing, but you know, there has to be a strategy to it. You have to realize, like, every time you go into a new state, you kind of have to rebuild the team, unless you all want to exhaust yourself. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it was wonderful to learn everything that I did, but we just went too fast. You know, too much money was spent, too many, like they lost sight of the vision.
Yeah.
Instead of, you know, just like trying to do everything, literally, Roz, within a year, okay? Within a year, we did at least like 20 things off the top of my head. And it's like, just slow down. I want everyone in cannabis to know that, like, enjoy it. There
Right.
is no mad rush. Slow down.
Yeah.
And you'll just save yourself. Like, that
Save
was pretty
yourself.
much it. Yeah.
Naomi, you mentioned, like, when you introduce yourself, that you like working with those small startup businesses on the accounting side or what have you. Not saying that you don't have the skill set to work with larger enterprises or what have you, but even kind of following Elizabeth's theme of slow down, I think, can you talk about working with a small startup where you can get as an accountant, being able to help them organize? It's not just helping them with their numbers, but it's just organizing and figuring out, how do you scale your business? How do you do it in a methodical way that allows, you know, it allows growth, but, you know, at a pace that you can keep up with?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm getting the same thing with the smaller businesses. They're want to go, go, go. They think that they're on this clock and they have to open as many stores as they can at once, and they have to get as much funding and financing because it's about to go federally legal. And there's like this timer that's there. And you know, I've been in it for 3 years, and the time went by so fast, but it's grown a lot over the 3 years that I've been in the industry. I came in December of 17, so right before California went legal. And then we just had a November election. 5 more states went legal. So when I started, I think there was only like maybe 20 something medical and 8 adult use. And now we're up to 38 medical and like 15 or something adult use states. And so, you know, it's grown over the last couple of years, but it's still federally illegal. So we're still on the ground floor. There's still so much opportunity that's going to come. And so as long as you've built a solid foundation, you understand your requirements when it comes to compliance and when it comes to taxes and accounting, you build a team who you can grow and who can understand those types of things. When it gets to the point where it's federally legal and now we have this mad rush for these mergers and acquisitions and buyouts and all these different things, you're going to have a good foundation to where you can demand the highest numbers, the highest value when somebody wants to buy you out, because you have everything in place, that you have your policies and procedures in place, your standard operating procedures. You have, you know how to manage your cash, you know how to get the best commodity prices. Those are the types of things you need to have. You have a good brand, and that's the biggest thing. Make sure that you have a really solid brand, and especially if you're a dispensary, you have a good location, so that when those acquisitions come, you can demand the highest value. Don't worry right now. Like, you may be at a loss, you may be paying a lot in taxes right now, but like Elizabeth said, be in it it's a marathon, not a sprint. So you might lose money up front, but then that's going to better position you to get those big 7 and 8 figure buyouts down the road.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And know the value of having a professional like yourself to be able to, I see you not only as a number, and I'm going to look over your books, but really you can be this strategist that's working with your clients to help them, prepare for first round, second round of funding, for buyouts, for mergers, acquisition. I just didn't realize how important you are until this industry, and seeing that you really need someone on the number side that's going to keep you whole. Because normally visionaries, creatives, I'm a creative, I'm a visionary. and not all visionaries, so I'll take this back, but some creatives, we create and we go do it, but the organization of numbers, that's not our forte.
Right.
And it's true, especially, oh, sorry, Eric, go ahead.
No, go right ahead.
Yeah, and I think, to Naomi's point, since we've been doing this for so many years, cannabis now, as a whole, always go with people who have like touched the plant. If you're looking for an accountant, look for a cannabis accountant now. Maybe we were a little like lacking a few years ago. Yeah. But we've had years to fine tooth our craft, and like, you don't want to waste money on someone who doesn't know what they're doing and like doesn't, because cannabis is a whole other beast. Like we had a lot of people from other industries come in, Netflix, Visa. The learning curve is too high, they bounce. Like, it's just, for everyone who's listening and anyone who's just starting or has one already, if you're looking for consultation and help, just go with someone who actually knows what they're talking about and who has a really has spent some time in the cannabis industry. It's tough and it's unlike any other industry.
Absolutely.
Naomi, a question for you in regards to, from an accounting standpoint. Obviously, working with a small business is very different than working with a MSO who has, so many other things to consider. But what are financial issues are one of the number one reasons why small businesses, cease to exist. What are the top, I guess, 2 or 3 things that you think from a small business standpoint you need to have in place day one in order to put yourself in a good position?
Yeah, it all boils down to both compliance as well as taxes. And anybody who's worked with a cannabis company or looked at any of their numbers, you will see that they are heavily taxed. And so there's a couple of things that factor into that. A lot of these businesses are cash based, and so they're getting cash in, and you almost have, so you've started a cannabis business, but you didn't know that you have to run a bank too. And so these people aren't bankers. They don't know how to put money in a safe in a vault and divide it up for payroll and taxes and all this stuff. They're just thinking, oh, we made $2,000 in sales today. We can go and buy $1,500 in product. They don't think about, some of this stuff needs to be allocated to your sales and retail tax. Some of this needs to be allocated to rent. Some of this needs to be allocated to payroll. And so working as a cash business, you have to make sure that you have the right people in place, that you have all of that compliance stuff in place. So you have to make sure that your money is sectioned out and allocated to the right places before you decide that it's time to buy more product. And then you have to make sure you have all those compliance issues in place with your POS system and collecting data and how your store is running and all those things, because these companies are being audited and reviewed by several different companies. So you have your IRS. That's one thing. You don't want to be audited by them, but you probably will. But then you have your banks. If you do get banking, every single month we have to send them reports that tells them how our sales are doing and if we paid our sales tax and things like that. So you have to look at the banks are looking at you. Then you have your local and your state governments that are looking at you and making sure that you have things in place and that you're compliant and you're in line with the local regulations. So there's just a lot of things that you have to know going into this business that you don't need to have if you were just to open a restaurant or another business.
Absolutely. So Elizabeth, you really focus on the marketing side, and you and really we have such challenges. So similar to Naomi. So Naomi, our challenge is the taxes because of 280E and all those different components that you have to make sure that you're in compliance with. Then on the marketing side and the outreach side, because it's still federally illegal, you can't just put a billboard up or buy radio ad or anything. So talk about the challenges of being able,
social media.
Right, social media. So marketing guru, Elizabeth, you are the marketing guru. You got all these people out there listening to you. Give them some words of advice when you have a brand or when you're a dispensary owner or even in the CBD market. What are some of the things that you've seen that have not worked and what things have worked? And maybe 1 or 2 things that you think you could share.
So it sounds like a broken record, but it's compliance too. Everything is compliance. Marketing gets a beating because, no health claims. Like you can't say that this product will do this, like we have a sleepy time tincture, but I can't even say sleep, like it is like very, very difficult. And, to your point, okay, billboards vary. Like we're all on a state by state basis, y'all. Nevada, as you know, takes 30 days to approve marketing collateral. California doesn't need to approve anything. Nevada needs to approve. Florida, they might have added some stuff, but from what I remember, you can't use billboards except I think unless you're a doctor. So it's like you got to learn your county's compliance before you don't screw the state, screw the city. You got to know your county, because out here in LA, California is adult use, but Santa Monica doesn't allow dispensaries. Pasadena didn't allow dispensaries. So it always boils down to the county. Because it's so difficult because, you have people who their state flips and they think they could do anything, but it's like, you gotta first see what you can do. So once you've realized, what you can do, then CBD is tough because hemp CBD is federally legal, quote unquote. So Google ads are easy to work with. They're testy. Facebook and Instagram, it's a beast. Okay. We have
Still
to stop. Yeah.
Eric is shaking his head.
Yeah. Listen, my mama, my grandmama, and my mama told me if I have nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all.
Exactly. Exactly. We have to stop thinking, and we're on Facebook now. We have to stop. There's no customer service. You can spend millions and millions and millions with them. They give you the runaround. It's an imperfect platform for advertising. It's a case-by-case basis. Yeah. It's very hard to navigate, and it hasn't gotten easier. So I would just say,
and Elizabeth, tell people that if you think you're going to go to Instagram, it's no better, because guess who owns Instagram?
Facebook. Yeah. And I see, like in the comments, y'all agree. It's very difficult. I used to have a better grip on it a few years ago, but in the last year or so, they're really shadow banning. They're really deleting. It's getting a little weird. But what I would recommend is we can now go back to storytelling with videos, because we hadn't really been able to before. Video now with Reels on Instagram is getting so much love. It's really I think gone are the day or the lifestyle imagery associated with cannabis. I don't want to see a girl smoking a vape in a distance anymore. I want to see a cool video. Content wise, cannabis is now on the cool. It's on the different. It's on the unique. We spent the last 3 years making the same stills and product photos and lifestyle imagery. Now it's time to get fun again. It's time to get weird. It's time to get different. I implore everyone to, hey Kit, I implore everyone to not care so much when it comes to making content. You look at TikTok where, it's very hard to get cannabis through there, but its counterpart, Reels, there's so much fun stuff going on. I'm telling all my content creators that, if we're budget more for video than stills, because stills ain't hitting anymore. Billions and billions and billions of pieces of content on Instagram. It's seen it all. Now's the time to be creative.
Liz, I'm sorry to cut you off, but you said something that I want to touch on. And I'm also, full disclosure, I'm taking a little liberty here because I'm going through this same issue right now. So I'll ask questions based on where I am as well. When it comes to creating that content, like you said, it's not, it's no longer just about this lifestyle, but also, in the stills and so on, using videos and telling a story. Can you break down the elements of a story for people that they would put into a reel or something like that? Because, that's where we, go ahead.
No, you read my mind because I was going to ask Elizabeth. I didn't break that. I mean, you said it like a lot better than I would, but I was going to ask her when you talk about video, if you could share with everybody, are we talking about video content of just me being silly and saying, hey, here's my product? Or are we talking about professional, or maybe not even professional, but are we looking at something that's kind of staged together? That would be a great question, kind of tag team and Eric.
Totally. So at the end of the day, we have to think about how we use the platforms. You know, what are you sharing? What are you saving? Because likes and comments are not the go-to engagement. You want to focus on saves and shares. Okay. Because that's how you reach new people. That's how you're actually making an impact. With all the bots out there, likes and comments are a dime a dozen. But if you make something that goes viral, and these days everything goes viral because you have TikTok, you know, everyone's videos goes viral. That's what you need to focus on, the relatable content, the interesting content. We don't want professional button up. We want, like, you know, stoner relatability. Like, you know, you're waiting for the plug and he's taking forever. Like, you want, like, you know, I helped Kit with her TikTok. So yeah, love you, Kit. Dude, I told Kit to do TikTok and she is loving it because I just think.
But are you going to tell us to do a TikTok dance? Am I going to have to do a TikTok?
No,
no
dance.
I'm not going to make a dance.
I can't do it. I can't do the wrap around and this way and that way. So
yeah,
come on, Liz. Come on, give me something. But you know, but go for it.
Yeah. So it's ASMR. You know, like it's making recipes. It's using sounds and trends and being funny. It's being relatable. You know, there was this really great TikTok where this girl just, like, you know, put her grinder together. She's like, how I wake up my roommates. Like, it's something we all experience. So when you're making the content, like, it's kind of like a vibes. You know, I think Old Pal is doing really well on TikTok because they're not so much focusing on cannabis content, but they're focusing on what the product makes you feel. So it's like, you know, smoking Old Pal is seeing the sunset with your friend, and you just, like, have the sunset. Like, there's more to the story than just the product. It's listening to music with your friends because you smoked a nice indica. It's just all about telling that story on a more personal front. You know, like, I don't want to see, you know, the person, like, walking through the warehouse, you know, like giving, like, you know, kind of like giving an introduction, being like, this is what we do here, this is what we do there. But more so, like, let's see a bunch of capsules being packaged. It's just such a better story than just seeing a bunch of capsules as a photo. But let's see the capsules, like, falling into, you know, a bucket. Like, there's just so much more out there. And, you know, the buttoned up product photos, like the lifestyle, that's not cool anymore. Like, we don't want that. We want, like, more to it. Like, we all smoke. We want to know what smoking feels like. I want to look at a sunset because I know I'm smoking an indica. It's just like, that's just so much better content these days than when you're scrolling and you just see a vape pen, you know, on a really nice background.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I have to ask a selfish question now because I'm in ancillary business and I'm an accountant. So how do you make accounting and cannabis?
Right?
Yeah, and you know, I talk to a lot of accountants and I talk to a lot of, like, I can't even market accounting services if I have cannabis in there.
Yeah.
Oh, so TikTok is incredible for that. Okay, so TikTok is all about the unique and the teaching, you know, definitely, you know, to Kit's point, you're teaching. You can just give tips. Like, literally, do you know how many people are so interested in this industry? Like, you don't have to show anything, but if you're just like, because there's a lot of cannabis journalists, there's a lot of cannabis lawyers on TikTok who just give advice. So your avenue is definitely TikTok, and you don't show any product. You kind of, like, play around with the verbiage, but you're the one giving the advice.
Okay.
Like it's
We're gonna have to talk
really
after this.
Have you seen videos? There's videos. I can get my 16-year-old because she knows how to do all this stuff, but there'll be a video with music in the background, and basically it's almost, I guess they superimpose it because you can hear the music going, and then if you see my face, I'm pointing here, 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 and then what they do is they go back and they put those tips in and then merge all that together, if I'm not mistaken, and then it releases the video. So when I point here, it could be whatever, Naomi, whatever your point is, or whatever that you're trying to get across. And what's the platform for TikTok? Is it 15 seconds, or how long are the video snippets?
It could be up to a minute.
Up to a minute? Okay.
Yeah.
So Liz,
I
before you go, Eric, because Liz has oh my gosh, you got to come back.
She has to go.
I know you got to go. Yeah,
I know.
And I want to be respectful of that. Yeah. So listen, guys, everybody, go and chat right now. Give a hand clap to Liz. She has to run. She's gonna come back. You promised to come back, right, Liz?
I mean, I can come back next week.
Okay.
Listen,
anytime.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's going to be, your inbox and your schedule is going to be so full next week. So tell people how they can get to you as well.
You DM Liz Udell, LizOODELL. That's the best way. And I know I'm so sorry I have to run to this meeting because I really, hey Carice, I helped Carice with her client's TikTok too. See, she does it. Carice's client is a lawyer and she gives immigration advice. So yeah, definitely advice is where it's at. But yeah,
this is what we'll do. Listen, I'll do this. While you're gone, we'll do a banner. So everybody that's here, we'll make sure you get connected with Liz via IG. We'll get that going, but we'll have you back. And then we want to talk about Cannabis and the social equity piece that you're doing. So Liz, thank you so much for being with us today. We'll see you soon, my sweet.
Thank you so much. You all are amazing. It was so nice to meet y'all. And I am so sorry I have to run. I really am. But I really want to say that I will see you all later. Have fun. Bye.
See you later.
Yeah,
that was Liz. Hey, that was Liz Udell. For those people that want to follow her, we're going to get her information so you can have it on Instagram. We got Naomi still with us. Not like one's over the other, but Liz had to run off. And Naomi was a great question because not everybody's touching plant, but everybody's having the same issue of how do I market myself? So like Naomi, what have you done? Like, have you done anything that's worked, or how do you get your clients? Is it word of mouth or?
So here's the funny thing about it.
Okay.
You can't pay for marketing on Facebook, but you could put your stuff on there for free. And I got a lot of stuff there. So I did a lot of organic marketing. LinkedIn is a really amazing place for me, for professionals, reaching out to other accountants and talking to them and seeing if they're interested in this industry. So LinkedIn is one place. We were also my marketing person was able to get some ads. So we do have ads running on Facebook and Instagram that we were able to slide in there. And then just SEO. Writing blogs, getting PR, doing interviews and things like this, working with the bigger names like MJ Biz. I spoke at MJ BizCon. I write on their platform. I also write for Accounting Today, which is an accounting publication. So it's like guerrilla marketing, and how Liz mentioned earlier, I was just doing everything and getting going anywhere that I can and seeing, what will stick.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a question for you in regards to the accounting side of this, right? Because 280E can be a horrendous nightmare for somebody in this space. Is marketing something that you can claim as a cost of goods sold? How does marketing fall into this? And I know this is something that you deal with on a regular for your clients, I'm sure.
Yeah, so unfortunately, marketing isn't. Now, it also depends on what vertical where you are. So if you are a cultivation, you get to write off a lot more cost than you do at a dispensary. So a dispensary, you're back.
You back with us?
Yeah, I mean, no one's in this meeting, so yeah.
Well, just hang out. Okay, so just hang out. Naomi had a great thought. Go for it, Naomi.
Okay. Yeah. So as a dispensary, the cost is the cost. Whatever you buy whatever you pay for the plants or the pre-roll or whatever it is that you buy, that is your cost. And you can't really add a lot to that other than maybe direct labor, your bud tenders and things like that. Now, the The tricky thing though is, and this is the reason why in my association, we're having a discussion with the IRS next week on Tuesday, because there's this new tax code that came out with Trump's Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. So he implemented that back in 2017. So in December of 2017, he completely overhauled our tax code and implemented his. And there's a code in there. It's called 471C, and it specifically says, and this will work for dispensaries, you can change your method of accounting if you're making less than $25 million a year. So if your business is making less than 25 million, you have the right to change your accounting method to whatever you want it to be. So you can say, all of my costs are inventory, and then write all of your costs off into cost of goods sold. So everything, you can say, hey, everything is inventory, marketing is inventory, all this stuff is inventory, and then I'm going to write it off. And you can, in essence, have no tax liability because you're writing off all your costs. And so that's like this huge loophole that a lot of me and my colleagues have been talking about. And we're going to talk to the IRS on Tuesday. Like, what do you guys think about this? It just got passed in 2017. It hasn't been challenged in court. So we really don't know if it holds or not, but there's evidence out there. If you read it, it specifically says you could write off everything into cost.
Listen, time out. Do you know what a whirlwind you had just set off in
and share this video, y'all. Share. I mean, so, and again, I want you, and so let's do a disclaimer. Cannot Talk with Roz and guests are not giving out advice. You have to check with your own legal and also accounting professional. However, we have someone who's a subject matter expert on with us that is sharing with you guys. There is a loophole based upon our former president during his administration that put in. So the reason why she's having this conversation with the IRS to make sure that her theory and the way that you can receive or you can, act on this, if this will be acceptable so that you don't get audited and you don't. So we definitely will have to have a part 2, but more than likely, I'm sure, based upon that conversation, you'll be writing articles and you'll be sharing with the masses about what you guys are uncovering, correct?
Yeah.
And listen, we got to get you back in InfoMM. We would love for you to do a webinar with our folks to make sure that they understand that and can learn from that information, because that is such a huge, issue for everybody, not just on the cannabis side, or I'm sorry, adult use side and medical marijuana side, but even on the hemp side. That is such valuable information of understanding things. So I'm glad you shared that with us. Like Roz said, y'all go do your own due diligence.
Yes.
Put it up
And
there.
if anybody on here wants to be a part of that conversation with the IRS, visit my website, nacappros.org, and register, and you can join us live with them.
To make a range, I hope you heard that. What was that website?
It's so you could type it in the chat, but it's the acronym of my association. So it's National Association of Cannabis Accounting and Tax Professionals, or NACATPROS, NACATPROS.org.
Okay, perfect. Well, we'll get it up. Don't worry about it. We're gonna keep the conversation going. We got Liz back here. So Liz, so we want to keep you engaged as long as we can until you have to jet off, if possibly. But tell us a little bit about CannaCraft and where you are right now, and this beautiful just experience and opportunity you have to really be able to change lives and make a difference when it comes to social equity.
Oh, that's so wonderful. So CannaCraft is a company that has a bunch of brands. So in California, we're Absolute Extracts, Hi-Fi Hops, Care by Design, Farmer and the Felon, Satori, and we just launched a new sparkling beverage that's going to come out in May. But with Farmer and the Felon, it's so incredible because, proceeds go to the Last Prisoner Project. And we're doing these incredible partnerships. Like this month for Women's History, we partnered with WHAM Phytotherapies. And WHAM, and I always tear up now. And it's interesting because, when I had started, everyone was like, oh yeah, the story, the video, it's really overwhelming. And it really is that about 30 years ago, up in Humboldt, there was a farm, that was grow your own, people who were disabled, veterans, people with cancer, anyone who needed cannabis medically, they can go to this farm and grow their own. And they've just been through so many issues, with the government, because it was medical, but it was illegal. And then when Prop 215, the Compassionate Care Act passed, it's been such an uphill battle. So WHAM is now licensed, because of course, when we went adult use, all the other licenses, like, it was null and void. Everyone had to reapply. So I also think, Naomi, to your point, for everyone who's operating in a medical state, you need to have a plan for when your state flips, because it's a whole other ball game, and you have to be prepared, because that's the long-term goal. Out here, we had the longest running medical program for 22 years, started in 1996. And when we flipped over, it was like we started fresh, and it was a lot of stuff to maneuver. So for WHAM to not be able to legally operate, to now having a license, and we can work with them and partner and share the story, it's so incredible to touch this side of cannabis that I haven't been able to do this extensively. And learning, and because California has such a rich history when it comes to cannabis. So, just being able to always go back to the healing benefits of cannabis, and going back to, setting all the rights that were wrong, and being able to work on the social equity side, has just been so wonderful to do for once. Instead of just, like e-commerce. Now this is cannabis for a change. This is cannabis for a cause. And it can't be forgotten. We didn't just start in 2018. Like, there's been a long, long, long road. And as more states figure out how they're going to handle their social equity, it always has to be, at the forefront of everyone's mind, because, we got things to correct. Like, that's it, like, it's not like we got a lot of stuff to work on.
So let's talk about the power of, you guys have created a model that's specifically looking at ways that you can do well by doing good. You can do well for the company, but do good things for good people, right? And, have you thought about how do you get your business model trickled down where just the masses get to understand what you're doing, and also the individuals who are most affected by the war on drugs can, look at that model and be able to, work with other different brands and other different companies and MSOs to say, hey, why aren't you guys doing something similar by having a branded shelf of products that really focuses on, I look at minority-owned businesses, social equity-owned businesses, folks that don't get a chance when they're looking for that. And especially if they have a brand that's great, that they don't have to own all of the whole entire processing plant, they can just really put their energy into building that brand. Would love to, hear your thoughts on how do you share the good news of what you're doing?
Yeah, I think it's so difficult too, because it always also comes down to an operations. I think if every new brand, because the ones that have already been running, they definitely should start making arms like we did. We have all these brands. We have the bandwidth, we have the capacity, we have the funds to make a brand that we don't need the profits from anymore. Now, we are able to do the social equity. And I think it's very difficult for other brands to do this when they don't have another arm for it. You'll have, like, pretty much every brand in California is shifting towards social equity and doing partnerships. But to have its own brand specifically just for this, it's different. Because you can do the partnerships, you can do the one-offs, you can you can be a flower brand and be like, okay, this month we're going to partner with you, but then it kind of trickles down, and like operations wise, you don't know where the proceeds are going. It's more difficult when you're just, kind of like, let's do social equity this month. Like, let's get that going. Whereas you have an entire department, an entire brand, an entire part of the company just for this, it's a lot easier to manage. Because yeah, I mean, if you're working on a day-to-day that you're e-commerce, and then you're like, all right, well, how do we even figure out how to give part of our proceeds? How do we even like work with the dispensaries to get the money to the proceeds? It's very hard. Like logistically and ops wise, cannabis is very difficult. Like especially from a brand side. Like I was on retail, now I'm on brand, and MedMen was really buttoned up. MedMen really knew what they were doing. But you have thousands of dispensaries in California, and as a brand, you can be crossing all the T's, dotting all the I's, but this one dispensary might not have the software that everyone else is using, or this one dispensary might not have its books, Naomi, like up to date. Like it's really hard to have a cohesive operation when everyone is so siloed. We're not unified at all. Every single dispensary operates on its own software, on its own POS, on its own everything. And it's
which can be both a compliance nightmare and a nightmare for an accountant.
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to standardize at least one piece of that.
And also, Naomi, one thing that Liz just said that I thought was just kind of like, it gave me an aha. So Liz, we got to talk offline. Was she said that they created a social equity brand within the operator, so that also basically you create a line item that that whatever you put in towards this line item, you can follow it all the way down. I'm not an accountant, but it's a cleaner way in my estimation of seeing how, if you really want to look at impact, you see how much it costs for you to how much does it cost you to get to the marketplace, but also what is your revenue that's generated, and then you can then look at the proceeds from the revenue generated after you paid all your bills, what goes to your organizations to do good things with it. Your thoughts, Naomi, on instead of having a brand, instead of having an operator that's like, oh, we got one product that we're going to do this, they actually have created a whole entire brand underneath their umbrella just for social equity. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so
accounting perspective, I don't know. It sounds good to me. It sounds like you can watch it linearly a little more easier. But your thoughts?
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. What I was trying to do is, my goal was to try to provide services pro bono to social equity applicants. So my whole goal was to build out a platform where these we can house the listing of social equity applicants, and I've had several attorneys, marketing professionals, and accountants who say that they're willing to offer hours, pro bono hours to these people to help them, because once you win the license, you still need to have, you still need to pay for accounting and legal advice and all that stuff. And a lot of times they don't have the resources to actually launch the brand once they've gotten the license. So my goal was to kind of just provide that support, that business acumen, that training, all the back end stuff that you need to have a successful, just the financial knowledge. And I think that it should be a part of the requirement to win the social equity license.
Right.
Like they need to know that you're going to be a good steward of the money that they're giving you if they give you dollars. So they need to have some type of financial background and training. So I never looked at it as a revenue line item, but more of something just to offer as a charity to help with that program.
Hey, Roz, that has me thinking. We have our medical network, our medical doctor network. We have an attorney network. I think it may be worthwhile to consider an accounting network as well, because you're so right. This part, I think it even becomes even more instrumental when a lot of people in social equity applicants are looking for funding. How do you get yourselves and your numbers right to be able to go have a conversation with an investor about money? And knowing that before you go in empowers you so much. You understand your value differently and so on. Naomi, I have a question for you in regards to, in all of your accounting background, and then in your specific background in the cannabis space, Roz and I get this conversation from companies in the space, that like social equity work and DEI work, they're all lost leaders. Like, I'm just dumping money into this and it doesn't, bring any type of return to the bottom line. From an accounting standpoint, is that true? Like, it does doing good hurt your bottom line? Or have you seen cases in which it helps the bottom line? In particular, in the cannabis space, have you seen businesses who have been able to do some type of corporate social responsibility or social equity driven program, or just community engagement work with the communities that were, that bore the brunt of the war on drugs? Have they been successful in making this not just about, doing the right thing, which I 1000% believe they should be doing, but again, they're in business to make money, and so when you talk to a CEO, you have to talk the language that they talk. But so it's a long-winded question, but have you seen this work? Does it actually make money to do social equity and these type of things?
So it just depends on what your definition of value is. And so if it's just monetary, then it may or may not bring you any monetary value by doing this. But if it's something that's more of a moral compass, or something that's more that makes you feel better, like a better person, it absolutely brings a lot of that value. So I don't have examples of, a social equity program that brought in, this many thousands or millions of dollars to a company. It's kind of hard to track that. It's almost like people who pay for PR. Like, you've paid for PR, you've been on this platform, but you don't really know. There's several touches. It takes several touches before the person actually buys from you. And so they may have seen that PR thing, and then they saw your Facebook ad, and then they saw something, and now they're buying. You don't know what their entry point was into your brand. So you can't really say if the PR was worth it or not. And it's the same thing with the social equity. It's just getting yourself more exposure. And I feel like absolutely there's people who go to brands because they see what they're doing in the economy. And there's some people who don't even realize that the brand and the company and the people are no good, and end up going to jail because of what they were doing. They're doing illegal stuff. So you don't always know the backstory, but sometimes when they do see, you putting yourself out there, that would bring you more money. But I don't know.
Yeah, I think, Liz, you guys might be onto something for real with this dedicated brand, because again, like Naomi was just saying, how do you track that, right? Like, how do you track how much you're putting in and how much is bringing back? And I would love for maybe at some point for you to come back and give us an update on, how that side of it is looking and the impact, because I think it's very, very interesting and key. We got a question from our audience from Dr. Adrian Adams. He's our chapter president up in New York, and he wants to know how you went about selecting the community groups to work with for that social equity component. They're looking to do something, on that front in New York, in Brooklyn.
Oh yeah, I mean, yes. So definitely to the point. And as I mentioned, when brand, like, it's also a one-off, like, this brand is dedicated. Farmer and the Felon is only dedicated to this. There is nothing else that we're going to do except partnerships with different groups. So Adrian, to your point, history, we've done 2 partnerships so far. We've done Sun and Earth, and now we have WHAM. So yeah, we're going for the history, WHAM, because it's Women's History Month. And also because they've just been doing so good in the community for decades. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be hard in New York and Brooklyn, but there's a lot of history there. Unfortunately, it's vertical. So it's kind of like, it's going to be a little hard to execute. But yeah, we were looking for the history, the people who have been in it forever, people who know what they're doing, who are also deeply connected to the cause. But yeah, it's a logistical nightmare. And I also, see some comments like there is no uniformity. It's a lot easier for your brand to just kind of make dedicated products and a whole line to it. What's another brand? So Kiva, okay. I love their edibles, but if Kiva wanted to do something, they'd probably go like for a month or a special partnership, and those proceeds. and then that's done, you know, then that's it. You did your social equity, but it's just a bigger impact to dedicate and keep it going. Operations wise, it's easier. Tracking wise, it's easier, you know.
Well, if you know anybody over there at Kiva, we have an awesome chocolatier that's a member of ours, and that might be that social equity link up.
Yeah.
You never know.
Well,
never
I mean,
know.
but
It's true.
and one thing I was going to say, we got to put M4MM in the community. So Dr. Adams is basically saying, how do you find those community-based organizations that you want to partner with? Once from a revenue sharing aspect, once you have these social equity brand that's within an umbrella. And so I see why Farmer and the Felon with Last Prisoner Project, and what we like to do with M4MM is, I mean, I think it's just brilliant and creative. So not to steal the idea, but to how do we come in and maybe pitch something and be, another component working with Cannacraft. And also, when you look at like, it's just so much that you can get done and get done together and be creative about it. So, I mean, I just like it. I think it's super, super dope. Just kind of what you're doing and being able to look at it from a perspective of, we can celebrate brands that are centric to social equity, centric to the Black community out on more months than just February. Because what we did, we got the, hey, can we give you guys some revenue? Can I just tell you, like, sometimes, guys, and this is it's a fact. Sometimes we get people go, hey, we're going to give you guys a percentage of the revenue to M4MM, and we never see it.
Never again.
Yeah. And so the way to also to dissuade people from doing that is to really create a mission and a vision for this entity that lives forever. And it's not just for the month of February for Black History Month, or it's something that is going to evolve and could be a really top producer when you talk about your different product brands within a company. Elizabeth, can you make? Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, and I think you have to set goals, and the way this goes beyond just being a one-off is that it's ingrained into the culture and the fabric of your company. And then a good friend of mine, Daryl Henderson, always says, "What gets led gets done. What gets measured, gets repeated and gets perfected." And so that's the other part of it. That's why I asked the question earlier, Naomi, about how do we, have we seen how it impacts the bottom line? And I think part of the reason why the answer is always, well, we haven't quite seen, because we haven't really built true measurement mechanisms to determine how do we, what is a success, for this investment. Is it a return on investment in cash, or maybe it's some type of social impact that we can measure how well that is? So I think we got to get into really, really measuring things so that we can track things. But I'm sorry, go ahead, Roz, with your question.
It's so true, though.
I was going to flip it actually and flip it and ask Naomi from her perspective, like, what are some of the some of the upcoming things that you're going to be working on outside of NACAT? And I want to pull up NACAT. Hopefully I can share my screen, but can you talk about like what propelled you? I mean, we know it propelled you to start the organization, but did you have help? Are you guys organized in Nevada? Is it nationwide? How do people get connected to the organization? And maybe is it membership based? We'd love to learn more about that.
Yeah, so it's a membership-based association, and I started out in another organization that's where I got my starting in cannabis, and I was teaching accountants, and I worked with over 600 accountants across the country, teaching them proper accounting in cannabis. And I heard time after time that they just needed more, and so a lot of those accountants needed more from the organization. They needed more hand-holding, they needed more training, they wanted to be connected to more experts. So as an accountant, you need to know where to go to get insurance for your client, where to go to get banking, where to go if they need legal services. So that's the reason why at NACAT we bring in experts from all different areas that support cannabis companies. So we have Mia on there. She spoke. She talked about legal and some of the contracts and things that she sees. We have the IRS coming up. I also do just hands-on training on exactly what you're going to see when you're working with clients and how to what issues you're going to come across and what solutions I've come up with and I've seen in the past that works. And so with the organization, it's going to be akin to any other professional membership, like the AICPA, where you have dues. So you pay your membership dues, and with those dues, you get 2 expert speakers a month. And so that's the IRS is one. Last week we had an insurance professional. So you get 2 expert speakers a month, and then you also get a live over-the-shoulder training, which also offers CPE credits, which is relevant only to CPAs who need CPE credits. And then we will be launching a certification program next month, where it'll be a 12-week program, and you will become certified, and you'll get a badge and all those things. And you'll be a certified cannabis accountant. I'm partnering with companies who offer job placement. So you'll be certified. And a lot of these companies who offer job placement specifically for cannabis companies, they're getting a lot of feedback that the accountants and the professionals that they're hiring don't have the skill set that they need. And so it's going to be very valuable to have a certification and to be able to go into a job, some type of job placement, or landing your own clients and things. And so that's where we're going with that.
Naomi, we have a question of whether or not the organization is just for accountants. Someone had looked at the organization, liked it, but they got the feel it was just for accountants, and they're not one, so they, kind of shied away. But are you open to non-accountants in the group?
Yeah, so I'm open to non-accountants. The actual certification is accounting specific, so you wouldn't want to take that. But being a member of the organization and getting access to all these expert speakers and hearing the conversations from attorneys and from insurance providers and things would help business owners. Seeing what the IRS is going to say is going to help the business owners understanding that, so that they can, bring that to their account and say, hey, did you know that this was happening? Or we didn't have insurance coverage for this. We need to go ahead and look at these types of things. So I think being a member of the organization, you'll have exposure to a lot of things that you will need to run your own cannabis company.
That's awesome. And if you have a business already and you have an accountant and not a member, you better tell them, hey, listen, your contract going to end until certification. I need to know you're doing what you know what to do.
Yeah,
that is awesome, man.
Yeah.
I'm sharing it one more time.
Yeah,
I'm sharing it one more time, and just those, just so super proud of you. It's a lot, and being and having vision, and just I think it's fantastic. Its service is so much needed. And it's truly being able to create a place where people feel that they can build trust. They can create networking opportunities, create camaraderie, as well as being able to be more savvy and more educated and more prepared to take on clients and to grow in this industry. So I got to scale through here again, guys. If you're looking here, take a look. The National Association of Cannabis Accountants and Professionals and Tax Professionals. Just kudos to you. I just love it.
Yeah, it's dope. Hey, Liz, I have a question for you.
Because
you woke up the room when you started talking about marketing and videos and everything. Like, is there a master course? Is there an ebook that we can tap into? Like, how do we?
Hey, Liz, before you answer that, let me just tell you, my brother has an ebook, and he has been the biggest proponent. Like, whatever you're doing, and if you're an expert in it, figure out how to take that sucker and monetize it, because that skill set you have is so important. So he's been on me about ebooks, and so let me warn you, he's gonna talk you into writing a book.
Digital products are definitely, I think, a part of the future. So for me, that's like, my investment in terms of personal education is in ebooks, courses, all of those things right now. So that's why I'm asking again. That was a selfish question. How do we tap in? But I'm sure there's other people too who are thinking the same thing. Like, listen, like Naomi said, Naomi's like, listen, I'm trying to figure this thing out too. You're gonna have people tapping in. So how, do you have anything coming up, trainings, anything, that folks can be a part of?
So no trainings, because I hadn't even thought of that, and it's so interesting. Okay,
listen, I will work with you. Let's get it
That's,
done.
and and I feel, especially with Clubhouse and the pandemic last year, the entrepreneurial side coming up at me, because I was always afraid. I'm not gonna lie. I've always gravitated, when I was in music, all my jobs kind of gravitated towards established, because I'm afraid to do something on my own and, start fresh. But I feel like, from everyone I've been meeting with Clubhouse and with, just how we've all kind of, shifted our priorities for the last year, I do know what I'm talking about. I think
Yeah, you
maybe I
do.
should.
Yeah, you
Like,
do.
maybe
Yeah.
I should.
Clubhouse.
Maybe I'm not crazy. Maybe I can make a
Yeah.
living out of this outside of working
Clubhouse
for
can be
someone.
an ego booster because it'll show you that, okay, maybe I am a little bit of an expert in this thing.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you know what, guys?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Liz.
Yeah, I was saying, it's interesting because I was against TikTok because before okay, last year really shifted TikTok. Before, it was the kids dancing. It was kind of that. But then the pandemic happened, and I got on the first week, March, because I'm like, okay, I'm hearing that it's actually, because when you see videos now, if you see them on Twitter, if you see them on Reels, they originated on TikTok. Okay. So all the internet
Yep.
creativity is coming from TikTok. So I was like, all right, I'm going to try it. I fell in love because now everyone's on it. So there's so much stuff, and the algorithm is tailored just for you. Like, with the billions of pieces of content, I only get fed what I like. I don't like golf. I don't get golf videos. Like, it's as easy as that. So I had to do TikTok for myself because brands want TikTok, and it's very difficult to understand. Like, TikTok, there is no posting time. There is no this and that. It's kind of like you make the content, you send it out into the world. Like, it's really hard to fine tooth. So I got good on TikTok, and I mean good, like, my videos or whatever, because I actually have to understand it. And it was like, yeah, I mean, it's really hard to. And when I feel like the best way to understand it is just to use it. And once you just see, like what
Yeah.
kind of people are interacting with, then you that's the best thing. In order to understand TikTok, you got to use it. You got to have fun with it. Experiment. Like, there's nothing you can do wrong. So I definitely, yeah, like, that's why I use TikTok. I have fun. I don't take myself seriously, but I just have to understand, because brands are like, we want TikTok. And I'm like, okay, I have baseline understanding for you.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, ladies, it has been
listen.
amazing. Go ahead, Ross.
Amazing. And I want to make sure, E, I want to kind of segue, because it's important. When you guys heard E say, hey, come talk to me, he has something really special that he's doing. And I want to give him the last 2 minutes to talk about it. And also our guest, 30 seconds for Naomi and 30 seconds for Elizabeth, to just, give some encouraging words, something to think about for all the viewers that are watching us. And then E, if you can talk about the Chairman's Club and how someone like Elizabeth, or someone who's out here watching us, how being a part of the Chairman's Club and taking Elizabeth, who has this skill set that you don't even realize, girlfriend, that you have, how being a part of the Chairman's Club can really take that from, now I know, I think I know it, to know I know I have it, and I know other people want it as well. So I'll start out with Naomi. Give us about 30 seconds, Naomi, just encouraging words, and what's your thought about the future of cannabis?
Oh my gosh, I am so excited about the future of cannabis. First, I wanted to say hey to Stanley. I see him. He sent me a little message. But yeah, I mean, it's just going to be, I feel like this is the first time, or the only time in my entire lifetime, to be on the ground floor of a huge industry. And I think about it as like, think about when the car was first created. So now you need to have roads. You need to have motels on the side of that road if you're going on a road trip. You need to have gas stations. You need to have mechanics. You need to have paint. There's so much that was opened up just because they created the car. So much more money and businesses in the economy. The same thing is happening with cannabis. So now you have this legal plant. They need to have marketing. They need to have accounting. They need to have legal. They need to pay taxes. They need to have real estate. There's just so much, and it's still in its infancy. It's still not completely legal. So if, the actual plant and growing it and opening a dispensary is not your thing, think about how your expertise can fit in there, because we're on this panel with a marketing person and an accounting person, and neither of us touch the plant, but we figured out how to make our expertise work in this industry, because it's the biggest industry in the country right now. And so find a way that you can fit in and, you know, take advantage and go for it, because this is probably going to be the only time in your lifetime that you can be on the ground floor of something so big. Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. Elizabeth, same question. Where do you see the future? Elizabeth.
Well, you know, the future is more states just, you know, changing their laws and getting on board. I would love to slow things down. I think that, you know, California, like I said, our medical program was 22 years. And when we shifted, we're still a mess. Like all these states, you know, who are going medical and like flipping the next year, like, wait, just wait. Learn your state, learn your industry. Like South Dakota, they didn't even go medical. They just went rec. Like, you know, like good luck. Cannabis is unlike anything else. Okay. It's unlike anything else because it's extremely unregulated. And just, you know, taking the time to learn, to just understand, and also like learn from each other. You know, I think that's the weirdest thing to me, but every state operates on its own. Like Colorado didn't have delivery for the longest time. I don't even know if they still do. Like the fact that not one state even mirrors another state. I hear Virginia is really, you know, kind of like doing an actual like competitive analysis and learning. But like every state's coming on board and doing it their own way. I'm like, how are we going to be federally legal if we're already operating on our own? Like it's a logistical nightmare. It really is. So, you know, the future, I just wanted to, like, again, and I'll say it again, marathon, not a sprint. Like learn the industry, make sure you're doing it right. There's so many components of this industry that, you know, gets overlooked, isn't handled correctly, that, yeah, like I just want everyone to VA in the house, Virginia, you're actually doing things right. Yeah, it just learn, you know, and I know everyone's really excited. The internet, Clubhouse has really, you know, really pushed cannabis to the forefront. You know, everyone wants a license. Everyone wants to get on board.
We're going to see Naomi on Clubhouse before March is done. We're going to see Naomi on there so we can get her on there.
I'm going to go out and get a phone today.
and then text me. I have extra invites. I got you on the invite.
Yeah.
Okay. So listen, guys, we are so far over our time. I just want to thank you so much, Elizabeth. Thank you so much, Naomi. I want to give my brother Eric, because he has something really special, and I want him to be able to, in a minute or so, just share about why, when he made this invitation to Elizabeth, and there's other folks like Elizabeth, you don't understand the breadth and depth of the experience and also the expertise that you have that's just ready to go to the next level. So Eric, give us a little like shakedown about that, and then take us home, brother.
Yeah, man. You know, and I appreciate that, Roz. To tell you the truth, the Chairman's Club, I have been helping people. You know, a lot of people don't know that I have my own consulting business. So I've worked with startups and MSOs all in the background. It's not stuff that I talk about on anywhere. So people don't know this about me. But one of the things that my mentor, I joined a mentorship at the end of last year, and it's really helping to change my mindset and so on. And my mentor, he has 4 principles of success. One of them is networking. The second one is buying seats at tables, meaning, you know, getting in the room and around people who can help take you to the next level, creating your own table, okay, of people. And I forget what the 4th one is, right? And so the Chairman's Club was born out of that thought process. I bought a seat at his table. I'm there learning from him, sharpening my skill set in the whole 9. And then the Chairman's Club was my way of creating my own table of people where I'm saying, you know what, come join my table. Let's build together, you know, and it's not something where I'm always just educating and dictating and talking to you, but we have a conversation together about how do we build together, how do we learn what we need to learn. It's focused on the hemp industry because that's where I play, in this space. But I'll tell you, we don't even talk much about hemp. We talk so much more about building sustainable business than we do about anything else. Because at the end of the day, I tell people, a product is just a product. A product doesn't equate to a business. And if you don't have good, sound business structures in place, and as my mentor says, the way that you scale a business is through people, processes, and systems, right? So if you don't first understand your processes and document those, and then put the systems in place for that, and then turn around and put people in place to be lever pullers or to be managers or to be the folks who go out and continue to generate more business, then your business will never grow. And so that's what the Chairman's Club is about. I'm creating my small ecosystem of minority-led businesses. My focus, not that we don't have other people in there, but my focus, honestly and truly, is the African-American female. I think we are in the age of the African-American female. Y'all have heard me say this before on Canna Talk. This isn't something new. I truly believe this is the age of the woman in particular, but I think the African-American woman in particular really has a special place in the next 10 to 15 years. And so I'm doing what I can to empower them. My goal is to empower 50 women by the end of the year to help them get into the business, or to, like Liz, take the skill set they already have and make a pivot to where I'm not telling Liz to leave her job, but what I am saying is, Liz, we can definitely put together an ebook and create a funnel and create that mailbox money coming in, so that while you're at that 9-to-5 job, you got something else coming in as well, because your skill set, your knowledge base is something that so many people need. And the way that you connect with them isn't one-on-one, but creating this way that we can scale that and reach a lot of people at one time. So that's what we talk about. We talk about business credit. We talk about personal credit. We talk about funding your business. We talk about those things that I think are really important to help you set up a business that can be sustainable long term. So again, Roz, I do thank you for allowing me to say that. Anybody who's interested, my ebook, you can go check that out, ericrange.com. You can join the Chairman's Club. Unfortunately, the price did just go up on that on the 15th. So I apologize if you missed that, but I'll tell you, the value you get out of it is absolutely phenomenal. I bring in people who have businesses. I bring in people from outside the industry. My mentor has multiple 8-figure businesses. We're bringing him into that discussion to show you guys how he did that, so that you can create that. So that's it. That's my little spiel. Again, this has just been another Fire Friday. We're way over time.
We're so way over time.
Yeah, but it was necessary.
Sorry, Naomi. Sorry, Liz. We love you. We appreciate
my meeting never happened.
Thank you to all of our listeners who, again, y'all pour into us every week. Y'all are just really engaging in the conversation. We love the questions, the comments. Make sure you hit share, because once we're done, this video is still available. So go send it to somebody else who needs to see it. Make sure that they're getting tapped in. Continue to follow us. Thank you to our guests. You ladies are phenomenal. I'm certainly going to be reaching out to you. I know others will be as well. And again, my message to everybody every week: go home, get some rest this weekend, love on yourself, love on your family, because Monday morning we got work to do and we got to hit the ground running. So we'll see y'all again next week on another episode of Canna Talk with Roz.
Thank you, guys. Have a great weekend.
Thank you so much.
Bye,
have a good one. Bye.